Hey, glad you're here. So, Cartn, by now you've probably spent quite some time going through the pre-scene. And you know what they do? Uh, you know the product, maybe you've looked into the financials even. Great. But there's the thing that a lot of students miss. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, industry analysis is not really examinable. I've seen it said online so many times, I don't need to worry about it. And technically, yes, you won't get a question that says, tell me about the food packaging industry. That's true. But that's not the point. The point is, when you understand the industry, everything else just clicks into a place. Your answers feels like more grounded. You sound like an actual manager, not just someone who just read the document the night before. The examiner can't give you marks for knowing the industry, but they absolutely can say, what is the difference between a candidate who does know the industry from the one who doesn't know the industry? And pre-scene tells you about the company. It doesn't tell you about the world the company operates in. And you are a finance manager, and a manager doesn't just know their company, they understand the market the company operates in. The pressures that they come from outside, what's changing, what the risks are. So what this video is about, it's a taster from our full industry analysis. Nisha is going to walk you through the key highlights. Where the market is heading, what's driving the demand, the sustainability pressures, supply chain risks, and recent news. If you want the complete picture, the full version is inside the course, link in the description. And for now, get your notes ready and let's go.
Welcome to the industry analysis for your latest managerial case study pre-seed. So basically, if you went through the pre-seed analysis we spoke about basically Cartn, we spoke about the industry, the company, various aspects. Now, this is a little bit of an extension. We're going to talk about the industry. It was in the food and beverage packaging industry. Your current managerial pre-seed is all about. And we specifically operate within the semi-rigid segment of cartons and tub manufacturing. So now let's look at some industry aspects from a bit of a research done by Practice Test Academy. So we look at the overview, the trends, the technological trends, the challenges, the regulatory framework, sustainability aspects, key success factors. We'll even look at company profiles as we do this. Now, if we were to go through the first part, which is the industry overview section. So in the industry overview section, if you look at the global food packaging market. Now, the global food packaging market is basically around the world. It was approximately $400 billion as of 2024 financial year. This is based on Grand View Research. So it's a big industry. And within this industry, the industry is expected to grow further by 5.3%, a compound annual growth rate of 5.3% over this 6-year period. So that means the industry is expected to grow, most likely due to various factors, which we will discuss under trends or market trends under this discussion. Then if we look at the European segment is about 47 billion US dollars. So this is about a little over 10%. A little over 10% market share is the European share basically. Over 10% is the European share. Then we've got aseptic carton markets. As a part of the global market, it is 24 billion. Now we'll touch on aseptic carton market as a part of the niche of the food and beverage packaging industry. But basically, this is a key aspect that's expected to grow again, driven by the need to extend shelf life of food, of I would say milk and other aspects, need for sterilization so that there is less contaminants. You see this aseptic carton market now appearing. And this is also expected to grow over by 7.8% compound annual growth rate to 2030. Now, if you look at the EU milk package market in cartons, this was 75%. So, what this means is basically 75% of milk in EU was packaged in cartons. The rest of the 25% was other material used. So, may have been glass jars and so on. Then 59% of juices were also packaged in cartons in the EU. So we see a bit of a dominance of cartons, which is something we produce, used when it comes to milk packaging and juice packaging. So the key is to understand that we are also likely to benefit from this pattern, this dominance. If you look at the market structure, if you think of growth, flexible packaging is the fastest growing segment for various aspects. It's lightweight, therefore it can be more sustainable, less material use, convenience. So the flexible packaging market is growing. So we belong to the semi-rigid market. So the question is, could we expand then to the flexible packaging market? Then the rigid and semi-rigid market. So we operate within the semi-rigid market. This market is mainly critical for things like beverages, which is why a lot of our customers are beverage companies, milk companies or dairy companies that demand our cartons, and also tubs for dairy products. Then aseptic cartons. Now this is also one of our core niche items we offer. This market is growing, like we mentioned. And if you look at the real world, this is actually an oligopoly market. So that means a few large firms dominate. So now we're going a little bit away from the pre-scene to look at real world companies. So you have Tetra Pak, Sig, Elopak. They tend to dominate the aseptic carton market in the real world. Next, eco-friendly packaging is growing. So this again brings us to the fact, what are we doing? How are we investing in eco practices that reduce the environmental damage, make our materials more recyclable? And this comes in alignment with also keeping up with regulatory aspects, because from a regulatory perspective also, it's very important that our packaging is recyclable and eco-friendly, the least damage to the environment. What is the consumer behavior like within this industry? Because at the end of the day, any industry, if it's to thrive, if it's to grow, you need to be able to understand what consumers want and meet their needs and wants. So first of all, consumers are becoming more environmentally friendly. So consumers are wanting more recyclable material, low carbon packaging. So that is one aspect we definitely need to deal with, especially with our cartons. Our cartons have 3 materials. 2 of them are not recyclable entirely. We can repurpose them, but not recyclable. So that's plastic and aluminium. So what can we do for this? They look at next cost, of course. They look at the cost of the supplier, then food safety, how safe will the carton be. So for an example, are we using aseptic technology with our cartons so that the food safety element can be maintained? And of course, they don't switch. We spoke about that. Switching cost tends to be high, so less switching because you have to set up equipment of a specific supplier, get the materials, so switching is less. Aseptic packaging is of course demanded when you talk about liquid milk packaging. So a number of different criteria. So mainly sustainability, cost, safety of the food and of the beverages that are being packaged, and hygiene. So hygiene and shelf life comes under safety, comes under overall food safety aspects. So these are some of the customer preferences. Moving on, what are the drivers of the industry? Now we know what customers want, But what is helping the industry grow, or why can we expect Cartn to see increased demand? Number one, demand is coming from aseptic and shelf life demand. So with modernization, people are wanting products that have longer shelf life. And now aseptic packaging as a means, due to its ultra high heat technology of sterilization, it's extending the shelf life. So one of the key market drivers or structural trends that's reshaping the industry is extended shelf lives of packaging due to packaging and aseptic packaging. Next, sustainability. So packaging is now moving from plastic to paper-based formats. So less plastic, more paper-based, more biodegradable. And because of that, we also might see an increase in maybe packaging such as using glass and glass specifically because it's more recyclable. Then branding becomes also a core thing. So consumers or brand owners want high quality printing, unique formats, portion control packs for premium, for price premium. So they are wanting, some are requiring packaging that is premium, branded, so that quality can be perceived through the packaging. Next, convenience and processed food is increasing. So with urbanization, people are going to work, they want more canned food, more convenience food, and all of these come with the need for packaging. So another reason why the packaging industry is growing. Then plant-based milk, plant-based products, dairy products are growing, and that makes the demand for cartons grow further. And again, emerging market growth. So countries which had less income are now growing faster. Urbanization is picking up faster. So now you're seeing areas such as Asia Pacific with the rising incomes, with modernization, they are requiring aseptic carton formats, especially with limited cold chains. So we see some of the Asia-based countries, they might have less transport through the cold chain. So to maintain the quality of the dairy product in the cartons, aseptic packaging is growing as a result. So we can see the industry is reshaped by changes in patterns of consumer behavior in terms of urbanization, rising incomes, at the same time environmental concerns, and alternative foods like plant-based, new process need for processed foods for convenience. So all of these are really reshaping the industry and helping the industry grow. What about the technological aspects when it comes to the industry? Like with any industry, the packaging industry, the food and beverage packaging industry is also going through tremendous growth. So we can look at, first of all, smart and active packaging. So packaging is coming with the ability to control certain elements, control the amount of moisture, oxygen. They'll be able to indicate certain things like freshness indicators, maybe incorporating QR codes, NFC for traceability, and engaging with customers how fresh a packaging is. So this is definitely going to increase the need for transparency when it comes to the quality of the packaging itself. And we can see the market is growing. If you look at the active, smart, intelligent packaging market, again, it is growing. Then if you look at paper-based barriers in terms, Tetra Pak launched aseptic carton with paper-based barrier and 90% renewable content. So in terms of technology, the technology is increasing so that the carbon footprint can be reduced, more paper-based, less non-renewable resources to be used. Then bio-based and recycled polymers. So new types of packaging that reduces again the environmental impact. Then AI and digitalization. So forecasting demand for packaging, predictive maintenance on aseptic lines, vision system quality control, remote monitoring. All of these. So some of these are directly related to the packaging itself. whereas some of these are related to the process for which the packaging undergoes. Then, of course, automating the aseptic line. So, this is again a process to get the packaging out, and digital printing and customization using various things like AI, technology. You're now able to really have really print things, do things faster. Promotional campaigns are being done faster. Even for recycling, you can just simply have QR codes on the back of a carton, which will give guidance on how to recycle a package. What's the story of this package, this packaging used? So you can see through technology, both directly and indirectly, the industry is affected. So directly would be the package itself. Indirectly would be both the manufacturing as well as the information on the package, and after using the package, what customers can do. So this, I think this really stems from the fact of being more responsible as a corporate citizen. So it's people are wanting to be more responsible. They are wanting to protect the environment, and by using technology, that is now enabled. Let's look at sustainability initiatives. So again, all these come into play. So when it comes to sustainability initiatives, the EU is definitely concerned about sustainability, about being more sustainable, reducing carbon footprint. So carton composition and recyclability challenge. So a typical beverage carton has 75% fiberboard, 21% plastic, 4% aluminium. Multi-layer structure requires specialized mills to separate fiber from polyaluminium. Zero Waste Europe reports effective recycling rates in Germany. So the trying to increase the ability to recycle so that you can separate these fibers, separate these materials easily and recycle them. So cartons do have this issue, but we're trying to minimize it as much as possible to be able to at least separate the materials. Then companies like Tetra Pak are taking leadership when it comes to sustainability. They themselves are collecting cartons and recycling them. Then PPWR and regulatory obligations. So all EU packaging must be recyclable, at least to an extent, by 2030. And we can see beverage carton sector, they actively are lobbying to demonstrate their commitment to it. Then bio-based and recycled materials, so trying to encourage the use of paper-based, for an example, materials which are more readily recyclable compared to plastic. Then competitive sustainability action. So in addition to Tetra Pak, companies like Elopak are trying to promote sustainability. They are trying to cite their position as low carbon. They're trying to use less plastic bottles, more biodegradable or recyclable materials. What about the supply chain? Now, if you look at the supply chain and how raw materials are sourced, so we know the main raw materials, especially for a carton, is the paperboard, the polymer, which might be the plastic, as well as the aluminium foil. So prices are fluctuating due to things like geopolitical conflicts. Prices tend to fluctuate. So there is a risk where sometimes prices might hike. And when prices hike, materials for packaging will increase. Then we also see vertical integration. So for an example, we have here Smurfit Kappa integrates from forestry recycling through mills to converters. So can we do backward or forward integration? For an example, could we buy a forestry? Could we have our own recycling system? Then multi-sourcing. So packaging manufacturers and brand owners diversify suppliers geographically. So we can, especially all the materials we need, can we not just source it from one supplier, but from multiple suppliers? And design for resilience, try making sure that the materials can handle the transportation process when they're transported through various means to make sure that they don't break due to certain weather conditions. The material stays consistent. These are some of the challenges when it comes to our supply chain as an industry we face. So one is prices. Second is there is integration. So when there is integration, that may raise impact even on the price and availability, and also the need to not just rely on one supplier but on many. Finally, news and recent events. So if you look at the industry, acquisitions is one of the key aspects. So Smurfit Kappa acquired Westrock, creating one of the world's largest fiber-based packaging companies. So consolidation is a key aspect within the industry, and this happened in 2024. Then Tetra Pak launches paper-based barrier aseptic carton. So 90% renewable content. So it reduces carbon footprint. So this information will be there in their website. Read about it. Then Zero Waste Europe, carton recycling rates are substantially lower. They're talking about how cartons have less effective recycling rates below the industry figures for other recycling materials. So what can we do, or what is this regulation saying? So it talks about the need for on composite packaging. That means maybe to tighten regulations. Now these things can affect us to enhance recyclability. Then EU PPW are adopted by Council, binding recycling and reuse rules. So again, they are adopting the need for waste regulation. They are requiring all EU packaging to be recyclable by 2030. We saw this. Then ILO-PAC expands in North America. So expansion of opening up new plants in different areas of the world. So expansion is a key part of the industry. Then plant-based milk boom drives aseptic carton demand. So global plant-based milk market, so people becoming things like lactose intolerant, is now boosting plant-based milk. And this is going to increase the demand, or it is expected to increase the demand for aseptic carton demand, which of course affects us as well. Where this brings us to an end of our industry analysis. This was supposed to be just a very short, quick overview. A lot of this is self-explanatory. You don't have to memorize the numbers here. That's why I didn't focus on the numbers. These numbers are just given to give you ideas of growth, decline, how big something is. Pre-seen numbers, some of them are important, but these numbers you don't have to remember. Remember the overall picture, remember the trends, remember the technological aspects, remember the key success factors, remember what the key companies in this industry are doing and how that affects us. So now it's time for you to practice task using this knowledge you have developed from your pre-seen and your industry.
So that's your industry taster. Hopefully you can already see how much richer your exam answers are going to be now that you understand the world that Cartn is operating in, not just the company itself. Now, what Nisha has covered here is actually part of our full analysis. Inside our course, you've got the competitive landscape, the real-world players, who they are, how they position themselves, what Cartn can learn from them. You've got Porter's 5 forces applied specifically to this industry. The regulatory environment in details, key success factors, all the things that will make genuinely a difference on the exam day. So, if you want the full picture, the link is in the description below. Come and join us. And if this video was useful, and I do hope it was, please do give it a like and subscribe. It helps more students find this content. Basically, that's the whole point of this, right? So, good luck with your preparation, and remember, you've got this.